First method, active imagination. The technique involves visualizing specific anxiety-inducing scenarios while simultaneously imagining yourself successfully handling the situation. Take Alice's client, for example. Struggled with public speaking anxiety since age 13. Now facing mandatory presentations due to recent promotion requiring team briefings. Through therapy, client identified cognitive distortion. I earned promotion through operational expertise. Therefore, I must deliver flawless explanations that convince everyone. Failure means professional inadequacy and public humiliation. 2. Cognitive restructuring, developed rational belief. Even imperfect delivery doesn't make me incompetent, just less polished in presentations. Client then applied active imagination to reinforce this new perspective. Visualized addressing audience with zero nervousness, then imagined confidently handling audience Q&A session. Through systematic visualization, client developed sense of control. Residual concerns remained, but catastrophic thinking diminished. Continued practice and cognitive challenging eventually led to successful first presentation delivery. Months later, found himself anticipating speaking opportunities. This technique applies to various anxiety scenarios. Imagine calm test taking or confident executive meetings. Vivid mental rehearsals enhance perceived control. Combined with cognitive restructuring, significantly reduces anxiety. Second method, cost-benefit analysis. Mental accounting comparing confrontation versus avoidance. Life presents challenges requiring strategic choice between approaches. While this helps us temporarily avoid difficulties, we might still face consequences. The alternative is to grin and bear it through the challenge. Initial discomfort gradually reveals significant benefits through repeated attempts. Consider people who avoid flights at all costs, despite long distances. They hold irrational beliefs. Air travel is inherently dangerous. Disaster will strike if I ever board a plane. Using reality testing methods discussed earlier helps challenge these beliefs. Statistically, 99.9% of flights operate safely despite rare incidents. Cost-benefit analysis reveals irrational sacrifices for 0.01% risk avoidance. Daily review of written analysis helps build behavioral motivation. Initial discomfort gives way to life-enhancing convenience through persistence. Third method, relaxation and distraction techniques. Alice particularly recommends yoga and meditation for anxiety management. Human brain cannot effectively process two cognitive tasks simultaneously. These practices redirect focus to create mental equilibrium. Alice also details Herbert Benson's renowned relaxation response technique. Here's a simplified guide to practicing relaxation therapy. Select a meaningful word or phrase, sit comfortably, close eyes, and breathe naturally. During exhalation, continuously repeat your chosen word or phrase while focusing on breath and relaxation. Maintain passive acceptance when anxious thoughts intrude during practice. Daily 10 to 20-minute sessions effectively reduce anxiety through consistent practice. Fourth method, unconditional self-acceptance. Anxiety often stems from conditional self-validation through external achievements. Example, self-worth tied to work success or others' praise creates fragile validation. Irrational emotive behavior therapy emphasizes self-validation, independence. Unconditional acceptance means internalizing evaluation standards rather than external reliance. Begin by establishing personal life principles and goals. Example, I commit to living with integrity as core value. These self-defined standards naturally guide behavior assessments. Behavior aligning with principles receives positive evaluation. Non-aligned behavior gets constructive assessment, not self-condemnation. Personal benchmarks create stable self-perception beyond external opinions. Others' criticism or praise no longer dictates self-worth. Common concern, how to handle behavior principle misalignment without self-judgment. Does this approach risk internal criticism during failures? Alice emphasizes avoiding global character judgments during setbacks. Differentiate between I did good versus I am good when succeeding. Similarly, I made mistake not equal I am bad, dash core self remains worthy. I have both strengths and weaknesses, moments of clarity and moments of confusion. Recognizing this helps prevent total self rejection based on single mistakes. Fifth method, exposure therapy. Systematic exposure therapy. Confront anxiety triggers through repeated controlled exposure. Anxiety often stems from unfamiliarity rather than actual danger. Gradual exposure builds familiarity to reduce anxiety responses. Alice's own recovery from public speaking anxiety utilized this method extensively. Afraid of public speaking? Force yourself to speak publicly repeatedly. At 19, Alice committed to overcoming her speech anxiety, joined political organization, assuming leadership role requiring frequent speeches. Leadership position mandated regular public addresses. Initial resistance transformed into determined practice despite discomfort. Persisting through early distress gradually built speaking confidence. Discovered her speaking abilities were intact. Anxiety had been false barrier. Applied same exposure principle to social anxiety challenges. Mandated self-initiated conversations with park bench strangers. Approached 130 women over 8 months. 100 plus became conversation partners. This systematic exposure conquered social anxiety. Sixth method, shame attack exercises. Alice discovered shame-based anxieties often create persistent distress cycles. We might vividly recall embarrassing public moments or past mistakes that hurt close friends. This shame makes us label ourselves as bad people. Such feelings can maintain anxiety states for extended periods. Alice's solution: deliberately engage in shame-inducing activities until desensitization occurs. Similar to exposure therapy, confronting feared or shameful situations through repetition. How to choose appropriate shame attack exercises. Key criterion: causes personal shame without harming others. Example: sing loudly in public square despite being tone deaf, or buy fruit at barbershop. Does this sound completely absurd? Ellis argues we need to embrace eccentric actions and public scrutiny for growth. Practical implementation often yields unexpected benefits. 1. Reality proves less terrifying than anticipation during actual execution. Focus on action itself reduces excessive self-consciousness. Realization: nobody actually notices your deliberate practice. This diminishes perceived significance of past shame events. 3. Builds tolerance for awkward situations through controlled exposure. Gradually reduces shame sensitivity in daily life. Summary of 6 anxiety control methods. 1. Active imagination through scenario visualization. 2. Cost-benefit analysis comparing confrontation versus avoidance strategies. Third method, relaxation and distraction techniques. Alleviate anxiety through yoga, meditation, and Herbert Benson's relaxation response. Fourth method, unconditional self-acceptance. Establish personal life principles to cultivate self-mastery against anxiety. Fifth, exposure therapy builds familiarity through repeated controlled challenges. Lastly, shame attack exercises eliminate shame-based anxiety through systematic desensitization. This concludes our exploration of the book's content. Key recap: Ellis emphasizes self-generated anxiety, requiring only unhealthy anxiety management. We've covered rational emotive behavior therapy applications for anxiety control. Core process: identify irrational beliefs. Greater than, debate. Establish rational alternatives. 6 practical methods help build cognitive resilience against anxiety. May this knowledge guide listeners toward anxiety-free living. Study notes available below. Until next time.